was such a fun experience, being able to go through and like listen to them talk about their last year, because like I got to see it literally from the perspective of no idea who these guys are. Like I only knew Meta Pusher because he was on the desk with me at Worlds, and then you're like I remembered Rubu, I remembered Rock Monkey from the Purity Land. And I was like, who are the other guys? Like, yeah, I was like gleaming as much information, like, what's going on? So who is this random noob TV fellow? And then like just watching them go from like this fourth place team to world champions was incredible.
I mean, it's like an 8-month turnaround there, because HR, well, if that, even you have HRX in January, and then we had the revamp kind of with DreamHack, right? So we throw our next HRX at the end of November. So those guys, kicking it off in the next PPL season, next split with each other. Didn't take them very long to ramp up when you consider that they did win that Vegas event. So they definitely came out of the gate hot, and it's one of the better roster moves.
Well, we have a couple of teams here that are going to be trying to compete for something very similar. They're trying to come through, and we have Retaliation versus E-Storm Gaming. Now, these two teams have been coming through. Retaliation actually just now picking up Milkacat for this week, and E-Storm has been in a very awkward spot. One of the few Latin teams that have been able to come through in the league. They qualified, but they haven't truly been able to push past that. They haven't taken anyone down just yet.
Well, you got to start somewhere, and a big part of this for me is like sometimes their drafts feel a little bit weird. Androxus literally played Androxus on Jag Falls, which it's not a bad thing to do. It can work. It has worked. Even today, I think Andro did fine on Jaguar Falls, but what they picked Androxus into and is a big part of it, and what your opponents are necessarily good at is going to be a big part of what you're picking and how you're banning and things like that. So being one of the newer, or the only Latin American team in our console league, I think that's a big part of it. It's just getting used to that feeling now. They probably dominated in their house, but now coming into a little bit of a more established environment, they got to feel out and learn some of the ways of some of these teams that have been around the block once or twice.
And it's also one of those things, I mean, we've seen, I want to say, good performances out of them, individual moments. Counter specifically comes to my mind on, I think, not last week, because last week he was playing a bunch of frontlines, but a couple of weeks ago, playing the Victor, did incredibly well, but just never stood out to me otherwise. And the same thing goes for Retaliation. I actually don't think we've been able to broadcast in a Retaliation game until now. We've kind of been riding Elevate through their first few weeks, and they've been doing incredible. So this will be a bit of a first showing. Milkacat has been able to put his name on this screen quite a few times, but the rest of the team really needs to kind of step up. We have no concerns. A couple of other players that have been here in the past, but can they make that breakthrough on Frog Isle?
We'll have to see. I think this is definitely if you're E-Storm, one of the matches you want to get. We've been seeing a little bit of that 3 versus 4 across the divisions today, and these are really important matchups for you to be able to grab.
Yeah.
Because like I've said a couple of times on broadcast, if you fall to that 4th place position, you only have to spend a couple of weeks down there before you just mathematically take yourself out of the running, because usually only the top console team in the past will qualify out to those land spots.
And I don't know if you were hinting at it, but the shirt matching the background colors, I mean, I think you're feeling it. Maybe, I don't know, if we put you on either side, I think you're going to blend in pretty well. But Retaliation, maybe doing their homework, grab the Victor away. We have Vivian banned out, Torvald banned out, Grok and Talus on the other side. And Grok and Talus feels very pointed towards Retaliation.
It does a little bit that way. Sometimes you'll ban out things like the Grok because you want to pick up a lot of stuff that has easy bounce targets, but on console, I think everything is as long as it is a frontliner, as long as it is a big enough target, will be an easy bounce target for you. Talus, we just saw what he can do. Vivian, we've been seeing what she could do for weeks on weeks now. Retaliation, they open their draft up with just a different flavor. They grab the DPS that they want. They get Grover, who's been the higher tier support across every league, PC included, whereas E-Storm have gone for more prioritization on the front line.
I think it's really interesting that E-Storm not only grab their front lines first, but then they go for the Strix like right in the middle. Like they recognize they want him, they want a sniper, but they could have also maybe hit that as they need to go and grab their support, which is going to be their last lock-in. But Fernando Makoa as a frontline versus Khan and Nara, which one are you feeling a little stronger there?
The old Makoa 9th pick. I think actually when you add both of them together, I would take Khan and Nara. I think Khan comes close enough to me in the aggro tank spot to be able to contest that out, and I do imagine that Fernando will be played as more of the point tank style here on Frog Isle. But overall, I do have the E-Storm front line as my favorite.
Well, they have the front line. The question is whether or not they have the back line. Do you think Strix here is going to be able to kind of box out this Leon Victor, or do you think it's going to be a downside?
Yeah, he should be fine.
All right, well, I'm excited to see what they can do with it. E-Storm still looking for their first win, I believe, with the way things are going. They've been able to prove themselves as a strong force, but can they bring it together to find a game? That is going to be the question for Dave and Evan.
Thank you, Gore. Thank you, Nick. Back to Frog Isle we go for the third or fourth time today.
Quite a lot.
Lucky me.
Yeah,
Lucky
quite a lot.
Quite a lot. But two teams, two pretty good lineups here. You got the Strix on one side. You got the snipery-esque Leon on the other. But Nick liked the E-Storm lineup, at least initially coming out.
Yeah, he liked the front lines, and I see where he's coming from on that. I think Milkwood Cat on the Grover, he's pretty one of the more consistent players we've seen here. And a fascinating story about how he actually milked cats back on a farm one day. Because, you know, the question needed to be answered right there. Everyone was thinking it. And already no concerns finding an early kill day. This looks like what we've seen a lot from Retaliation and the E-Storm matchup already.
That was the matchup we were kind of looking at. Was the Leon going to be able to deal with the Strix in the same way that Strix potentially was going to be able to deal with her? And the answer is yes, at least right off the bat. She finds an early kill onto him.
Wow.
Drops instead. Actually, Counter ends up stealing it right back, so a little bit of a retribution kill there. Fatal cleaning up Counter on the backside. So just a lot of kills getting traded back and forth right now, but 60% says it's going in favor of Retaliation.
Yeah, what the problem is with the Saris and Inara, how fast the Inara is dying, that's a real bad sign, because Inara is supposed to be there for in such an efficient manner.
It should be the last one to die.
Yeah, exactly. Great shots, though, from Counter. I mean, maybe if the Strix can get things going, this will be a great start for E-Storm doing something.
He's found himself some damage, found himself some shots. I don't think he missed a single one in that little clip that we just saw. They pushed him off, 96%, so not a moment to spare there. Nice headshot, gets the heal, gets back, is the Leon, but now they zone. 54% here for E-Storm. They find a few kills. They scatter enough of these on the backside. That could be a flip on its head, and E-Storm might actually find themselves the first point here.
With combat mechanic, this definitely would have been a win. So you can tell their lineup can do some work, and they're playing decently well. The flashbang's actually going to throw out Brian.
Wow.
And E-Storm are going to grab the first objective. So what seemed like a pretty dejected start of that fight ended up working out for them, and I think very much on the back of Counter, hitting some big headshots and just providing so much damage in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Retaliation was 96%, just a touch away. We're pushing that one through, but E-Storm finds it. Both teams have some ultimates available here. A little bit of a fight breaking out here on the back side of this. Just a little bit of an engagement on the back end of that point fight, but Retaliation will really like it. I mean, they have not let this payload move forward at all. Fatal soon to go down, most likely. He's actually able to get some healing, keeps himself alive right now.
Wow.
There goes the Immortal as well. So actually keeping himself alive. Very well played there from Fatal on the Fernando, and Counter just up top pouring out damage right now, and the blue health bars are starting to fall as well as the champions. So a bit of a turnaround here from E-Storm. Find themselves the pressure, find the payload moving forward again.
And another flashbang as well. I mean, this is great Strix play. And,
yeah.
You know, what I thought was turning into Retaliation having a lot of the upper hand, it's turning more and more into a confidence boost for E-Storm. They are handling these bad situations and coming out on top again and again, even when ultimates are getting thrown back at them. I'm pretty impressed so far with what I've seen.
That's important to look at as well. I mean, the Fernando pops, the Immortal ends up falling anyway, ends up getting pushed back into his base, so now that's down, 28% and climbing. So it'll come back up, not quite as fast as maybe some of the other ultimates. This left side choke point is going to be where the battle is going to get fought, but Counter finding himself the angles, finding himself the damage, finding himself two in this one, and Fernando getting heaved over the head. There's the Commander's grab. No Immortal for you this time. Down he goes. So E-Storm fully streaked out. All 5 members looking to push this one through. It looks like it's going to.
And that's where the Victor Leon really is the issue. Makoa's doing his best to try to get into the back line, but every single frontline champion here is very countered by the Khan and that Commander's grab. So their shields are going to go down. So if they do commit, they're not going to be able to get back out. And the 9th pick, Makoa, is acting like a 9th pick, 0-3.
Right.
As the aggressive front line, the only one who's able to get into the back line. We saw that be so difficult in the first set, where it just felt like it wasn't doing anything. Tully was 0-9 on his first pick, Makoa. This time it is a last pick, but they're expecting more. If that changes, this whole dynamic will change. But so far, no one's been able to really topple the Giants of E-Storm at this point.
No, and Counter's kind of the one to look at. I mean, remember, they were on the back foot heavily to start off that last round, and Counter just could not find himself in a rhythm Now he finds himself 5, 3, and 7, and he's on a 7 streak as well, which means that he turned it around there in that last half. That's really what the tale that tells. He was really able to find his footing, find some nice headshots, and unfortunately drops to no concerns on the opposite side. But definitely one to watch there on the Strix is Counter. Found his shots at the end of last game, finding some before falling early on in this. But Retaliation off to a hot start yet again. They have the comeback mechanic, 58% here on the point. Khan just tanking up a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
He ends up falling on the backside.
And I like Brian looking for other more effective damage sources, but I think you need to make that decision very quickly. He's taking too long. He's just keep firing. If that's the only thing that's aware to shoot that con shield, do it, because he's getting a lot of value from just being able to toggle that on and off. If you break it, you're going to get basically him having to recharge to 50% before he can get it back up. And I think that is a huge potential window for them to then push against the con and put him on the back foot, which seems to be what has happened in this round. But the point being captured, I think Retaliation now are just really more of a comeback mechanic beneficiary.
No, I agree.
And the fact that No Concerns got that early kill onto Counter, that was also huge.
I mean, you have to look out for them as well. They have 3 ultimates, so they can utilize some of that to potentially tie things up here. But eStorm not giving up an inch. It looks like they're the ones who are on the offensive here. They actually have Retaliation zoned back pretty far right now. And when you have Counter not missing any shots, the Barrage comes out, does not clean him up. He actually eats maybe one too many shots there, does the victory, gets himself healed by the Grover. Inara's going low here on the front line. Just some trading back and forth. Khan finally cleans up island shots on the Makoa. Fatal drops Androxus as well, so a bit of a 1-for-1. Nice shot there from Counter. Down goes the Leon. He gets the better side of that battle that time, nearly going down.
Tries the hip fire.
To the Victor. That would have been something.
That would have been something. Running away, hip fire to finish off the kill. I don't like these Immortals in the point. I mean, it's such an important ultimate.
Yeah.
And now you're in offense, and it takes a long time to charge up. If you're going to do it at the minute mark, okay, I get it. But it just feels like you're press and go, or you're trying to save a moment that hasn't existed. You haven't even started pushing. There's no need to Immortal there. Like, let yourself be wiped. That's cool. You can make it back up.
Right.
And maybe save it if you have a chance to push, or just save it for the next round. This is something that I think they have to get a little bit better at. But I'd also like to take a look at the items, Dave, because I feel that this is going to be a big part of this game too. The cauterizes, but not just that, the wrecker. And you can see Brian, no wrecker at all, really ignoring the con shield and ignoring any potential value that might have because of the Inara not really using shielding herself.
And as such, they've done a really good job of fighting behind the con, and he's been able to block out so much of the damage that was coming in onto them. Earlier in the day, we saw, I think it was the Vivian with like Wrecker 1 just shredding out a con. You can imagine it would do something similar if Brian were to itemize in that direction. But with 10 seconds left,
let's grenade this, man. Why are you shooting?
He's trying to find the left. Well, I guess it's right trigger damage on the left mouse button. Finding some damage, but with 1 second left, pretty decent amount of way to go. eStorm looking like they're on the back foot, at least at the moment.
Yeah, so I just feel like there's the timing and the way
the front foot,
the cohesion, and Brian particularly, he's standing out because he is one of their big main DPS flexes, and they do not have a Zen that can get to the backline to pressure out the Strix, so they're counting on this Victor just overwhelming people with damage, with these grenades, with these barrages, with these headshots from the burst mode as well. And it's not really happening, and I want to know, how is this going to change? Usually you'd see Victors at the top damage right now. We have an Inara and Strix leading top damage in this game. That's not what you want. Like, that's not going to get you a win, man. And the Makoa being so low and being 1-7, I don't know what's up with these Makoas. But that's not acceptable for a Makoa pick.
It almost makes you wonder if it was just sort of like a...
Inara hasn't died this whole game, by the way.
I guess he's available. Let's just take him. Like, Makoa's still around. I guess we pick him. Like, not necessarily our favorite pick. Yeah, no, 10-0-10.
Wow.
Casual 20 streak.
Cash.
Top damage in the game. Pretty wild there. I got flipped around. eStorm was putting on so much pressure. I thought they were the ones trying to push. They were actually the ones who were on defense. Their Retaliation pushed so far back.
Well, I just don't know. That needs to be a grenade, a barrage. You've already seen the Zen low. At least the Makoa is pushing in and going into the Ancient Rage. you know, this just seems like, oh, and that's a good Immortal. The Whirlwind, the bait from Gonchi to try to go into it. These are all good things. And finally, a point fight that Retaliation seems to have a handle on, or at least to be a lot more clinical on. The bait in several different areas looks successful, and this is going to be their second comeback mechanic point, so this should end up capturing for them, giving them some nice credits and the ability to push again with some momentum.
E-Storm not utilizing any of their ultimates. They don't really have a chance to do that. The Immortal, the Whirlwind coming out, I think they probably just realized it was it at that point. Now potentially another 2-minute, 20-second stand. Just like last time, they're getting up in the face of Retaliation here.
Yeah.
Not wanting to give them an inch. It paid off last time. Potentially paying off this time. Brian finding himself a kill. Oh, nice Makoa hook. First really impactful, but unfortunately pulled into his death there.
Brian, you know, he's peeling for you.
Right.
So to go back in, you both just died for no reason. I mean, he tried to save the DPS. And I mean, if you're going 1 and 8, that's one thing. And sacrifice your body because it doesn't matter. You've already done it enough. I don't know if that was a spite or just trying to whirl up as well. A lot of interesting plays happening here in this game. And, you know, calling it as we see it. There's still 1 minute and 30, though, Dave.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see which team actually has an upper hand in this matchup.
Is it, in your eyes, is it just misplays potentially on the side of Retaliation?
Definitely.
I mean, E-Storm's playing well, don't get me wrong, but if I were to say, what does Retaliation need to change? Is it just stop misplaying, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, essentially you're looking at a misused asset in the Makoa where, I mean, at this point in time, right, you're looking at a Strix who's already gone hidden. That Makoa, by the time that happens, has 70% health. You can walk up earlier than that and pressure out counter, but instead he stays on this low ground, afraid of what DPS. I mean, just the Strix, that's it. It's the Inara. Elsewise, finally they kill Struck User as well for the second time, I believe, in this game. But it feels like everything's just a little bit off. And I don't know whether they're trying to be perfect with timing and they're just not getting it, or whether they're timing so off that it's just looking like a bit of a jumble here. Either way, the payload continues to push, and there's still 40 seconds left.
This is the furthest they've gotten with the payloads. This is uncharted
Impressive
territory for us here on Frog Island. Hey, payload pushed in. That's 3-3 in anyone's game that point. Despite E-Storm seemingly firmly in control to start things off here. Going low as the Khan, dying as the Khan, just trying to get a touch. He's going to trade out his life for it. And it actually looks here like we could go into a 3-3. Nice convergence there. Gets a lot of the Retaliation members pulled in. It's not going to matter. They're going to find the kills. And it looks like this payload's going to get pushed through. So, despite E-Storm being in front seemingly the entire game, we're 3-3 going into the final point here.
And maybe they figured it out. I mean, Makoa goes from 1 and 7 to 4 and 9. So that's a 3-2 round. So that's a positive round. And look at the difference that can make.
Counter as well. He's flipped. He was 5 and 3, I think, first round. 7 and 14 now.
And now the fact that Struck User is also taking his first 3 deaths in this round, you're starting to see things shift. You see Milk a Cat on that 19 streak. So things have definitely shifted in momentum. Makoa trying to, keep this movement up, and he's got the master riding as well, credit-wise, which is hopefully going to help him get into a better position to start out this fight. Be curious to see where he goes and what's been so difficult for him overall in this matchup.
Finding themselves some
this
streaks
route,
here.
probably, because this isn't a route at all. He just went to the middle of the point.
Landing the hooks, finding it. You have to also remember they had the fast cap enabled. The Ancient Rage comes out, finds counter on the backside, so his worries are not going away. He drops as well. E-Storm losing 2, no concerns, dropping 1. Khan cleans up Fly, so fatal as well. And the hooks are starting to land here. You didn't see a lot of impactful hooks in the first couple points here, and now he's really finding them, trading out his life on a couple. Unfortunately, trades out his life there again.
Yeah.
And E-Storm, although seemingly on the back foot of that entire fight, I guess positioning just pays off. They're 84% to ending this game.
They certainly are, and Gonchi doing a great job on this Khan. He's just bought them so much time. The Fernando playing point tank, and the Makoa spending half of that point playing the point tank as well. Here's the barrage, though, and that's going to get a lot of damage, and Brian's going to finish it off. That grenade, it's not going to hit, but no concerns. Has no concerns about finishing that one off as well. The convergence comes in, but it's just a day late and $1 short. Blossom and the ever-present Grover passive healing is going to give them the point for now, but still, any step from E-Storm without retaliation on it is going to give them a win.
Victor's low. It dropped Victor here, and he does fall. That could spell the end, actually, here for Retaliation. They're still on the point for the time being. but they're without their damage dealer for the last few fights of this game, trying to clean up the Strix. His island shots here. You got the Inara on the point. The spike goes in onto the Fernando. Not much follow-up damage there. He does clean up counter on the backside, though, and it's just a bit of bashing heads into each other right now. Teams trading back and forth, trying to find the upper hand, but nobody's going down.
I mean, Milka Cat's got to get closer to, he's literally looking at trying to get the Zen down. So many missed opportunities here. Oh man, this is a tough one to watch.
Yep.
But it does seem like Eaststorm are gonna take this, and a team that's been struggling a lot in the PCL is going to grab the victory here. I can't say that gives me. I can't say that gives me any confidence for them heading forward in this set. But man, at least they grabbed this one. Whether it was lineup or whether it was the inability for them to close it out fast enough, we'll have to wait and see as this draft and this set continues.
And that was close. I mean, they started off hot, finished hot. Luckily, Retaliation found themselves some points there in the middle of the game, but Eaststorm found themselves the win in game number 1. Let's send it back to Gore and Nick on the desk.
I actually misspoke going into that set. Retaliation were the team that is still looking for their set win. Eaststorm got their first one 2 weeks ago, actually, against Retaliation, so they were able to kind of come through. The times we've seen them, they haven't been as successful, but this is their chance to showcase, I guess, what their where their worth is.
That was a sloppy game, and the team fight just didn't feel like it was very concise. It felt very much like we're just going to smash into each other and someone's going to give in and someone's going to collapse a little bit. They didn't feel like our win condition was really answered for either of these teams. I think one round I definitely saw there was a good concerted effort to dive Strix fairly early on, but in that final team fight, I think it really came down to just the copious amounts of healing that was coming out of this Saris. I think this ended up being about a 15-minute game or so, and this Saris was at 200,000 healing at about the 10-minute mark. So, I mean, she was just really, really being able to pump these guys full of healing throughout the entire game. So at that point, it doesn't necessarily matter what you're doing, right? Because you're getting just so much mitigation in these fights. You can go anywhere you want, make as many mistakes as you want, and you're just not being fully punished for that.
Well, I have to give honorary shout-outs to the Inara very early on, who was able to take top damage away, even though there was a Victor in the game.
Crazy.
Just seeing the Victor highlights made me kind of remember, oh yeah, he exists in this. And that was like the thing, I guess, like not only do you have that aggressive Inara style play, which is something we see in some of the minor league teams. Ovum likes to play it that way, but it never is supposed to be on top. She's not supposed to deal that much damage. So either she was doing really well or everybody else was falling off.
Yeah, I think it came back again to that Saris just pocketing Inara super hard so Inara could do whatever she wanted in that instance. And if she was that valuable in game number 1, I definitely expect to see her again in game number 2. Jaguar Falls is a much better map, I think, for Inara. Not that Frog Isle is bad. I think you can just be much more effective on Jag.
Well, there's a lot available, considering no bans have even come through for this.
You might say everything.
Everything
the
is
world
still
is your oyster.
Wide open. Jaguar Falls. Will we see something like Emoji again? Probably not.
No.
Will we see something outlandish like a Maeve? Probably not. I expect we're still going to have like the Inara. We're still going to have a Vivian, a Victor, either band picked, all the standards.
Yeah, pretty
Nothing
much
spicy here.
I think Emoji actually, it was kind of interesting to watch because that was the first time that I had seen her since the rework. I guess not really a rework, just more of a buff or a change to the way she does damage. But still kind of the same character for my money. When you're looking at the Vivian, the Talus being banned out, pretty standard stuff. You're definitely right. Grover is really good on this map. I just want to see Eaststorm make sure that they pick something that can stay within range. They went for the Xin last time, which was fine, right? It's fine on Frog, but I don't want to see them go for something that's going to want to operate by itself. I think if you pick your Bomb King Khan, that type of stuff, even Makoa, could be a good little run here.
And the hunt
well, Retaliation get Victor back. They grabbed Tyra here for Jaguar Falls and Grover on the side for Eaststorm. So a lot of healing that we saw out of the last game, but no Saris, which was notably one of the things you gave kind of credit for a lot of their, I want to say, success at the very end.
It was just so much mitigation at that point.
It doesn't matter if you're face tanking everything, if you're getting a lot of heals.
But it's less failure than the other than what was going wrong, I think, in that fight. But a very, very stalwart lineup so far for Eaststorm. Tyra and Victor are certainly two to try and bring that one down and slow it a little bit.
In this game, you win
a little bit of crowd
die.
control wouldn't hurt
There
them
is
at the
no
moment.
middle
They
ground.
just have that Inara to try and see seize control of these team fights here. I would like to see a Bomb King as the final pick, and I am going to get my wish.
I give you now my title of prophet. You can have it as you come through. Console prophet. We'll have to
100% win rate.
start ticking it down. The question is whether or not he can keep up with that. Bomb King has been in a very interesting state today. I mean, we actually just saw Galaxy run it. Maybe not as successful as they would have liked, but it was looking good. Probably one of his best maps here, though.
I love it on this map. I think Khan is a really good aggressive tank to pair with it to make space, to give it even more HP and healing, and then Grover is, again, perfect. I love this lineup from eStorm, and I think they should be able to take this one.
Well, the last time these two met, eStorm was able to find it as a 3-0. The question is whether or not they can do it again. Right now they're up 1-0, but we're going to Jaguar Falls for them to potentially take this all through. Let's toss it over to Dave and Evan.
Much gentlemen on the desk to Jaguar Falls we go. Evan digging the music.
Oh, yeah.
A 10th?
Oh, yeah,
was that
man.
10th pick Makoa that we saw? I think it was 9th pick last time. It was last
And by
pick.
the Victor player, I mean, this just smells.
Oh, yeah,
of,
he's on. Yeah,
we
you're right.
did
Brian
not
was
like
on
your
Victor. Yeah.
I mean, what else am I going to put? I'm just looking at what happened. No Concerns plays the Leon. Fly So Fatal plays
was
the
on
Fernando.
Yeah.
So they put Brian, and they basically... Fly So Fatal is actually the one who essentially just goes on to the Tyra. You know, maybe it's not so bad. They just say, Brian, we want you to play aggressively. And maybe this is more Brian's... Maybe this is really in Brian's wheelhouse. I have no idea. It could have been more comfortable for him than the Victor. Looking like he's going to die right now, and he does. So that maybe isn't the key. Maybe we're just seeing more of the lack of clarity from this roster than anything. eStorm starting off strong here, 6% and counting on the objective.
Found themselves some early aggression. Unfortunately, find themselves a dead Inara as well. So on the retake now is Retaliation looking to find some pressure in there, though. Bomb King, the 100% win rate Bomb King going over to the side of eStorm at the moment. So a little bit of back and forth. Ooh. Neither team really starting off heavily controlling the point right now. V8 trying to find it. V8 Androxus not playing Androxus. I think he did play Androxus like last week.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't always play Androxus, but when he does, oh boy, watch out. It's in the name.
I mean, you pay money to change your name,
That's
so,
right.
you know, you must like the champion.
You have to.
No Concerns. Rampage, however, so finding a little bit more success than we previously saw in the Victor, cleaning up the con. Bit of a kill steal there on the back end, 93%. Soon to be 100, and Retaliation
are going to retaliate.
They retaliate with an early bit of aggression and an early point here.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I think Counter is clearly, you know, going to be a huge player for eStorm. If he can keep up the performance he had, it's going to make a huge difference and tilt things back in their favor. But we saw 3-3, and we may just be seeing that again in this round because a nice slide there to avoid. But Counter is not always supported in the way that they are. These fights aren't clean. I think that's going to be what this set looks like. Both these teams scrapping for the win and having their each individual kind of pop-off moments. And whoever's going to have the most is going to win this set.
Kind of scratching my head at that assert dominance right there. And it not necessarily on the Ashe, but there was literally no follow-up coming from the rest of Retaliation. I mean, eStorm's doing a really good job of zoning out, don't get me wrong.
She did miss.
But she kind of slammed it down and then just maybe just cut their losses there on the back end.
I know, it's a weird one. And you know, you take a risk because you never know. And sometimes what you see when you land isn't there anymore. We saw the Leon, she would have gotten hit. She slid out. If they get that easy pick on Counter, maybe that is something that you push on in the 4v5 situation. So, you know, I'm a fan of going for it. I'm also, you know, sometimes there's just better moments. I've seen Fly So Fatal as well use a lot of Fernando ultimates mid-round where I said, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
That's
so
fair.
Maybe they're making some weird calls. Maybe it's just they're getting told, hey, man, be aggressive, ult when you feel like you can, and we'll try to follow up if we need to.
Well, finding some success on the Makoa this time as Brian cleans himself up a couple. Now trying to zone out eStorm back into their base. So the Makoa coming out to a hotter start than we saw previously there on Frog Isle. Just doing his best to zone. There's the overpower. And away you go. Off to the side of the map, Brian. Unfortunately, nothing you can really do about that one unless you have Ancient Rage available, which he did not at the time. Fly So Fatal trying to find some crossfire damage, falls instead, but now no Concerns on 3, maybe 4 here around the side. He wants it. He does, but will he get it? He is going to fall. He is going to find the unofficial 4. Unofficial 5 maybe coming out from him, trying to trade back. Island Shot steals the 5th, but Retaliation steals the 2nd point here on Jaguar Falls, and no concerns. Having no concerns
Having
about
no
his
concerns.
Victor play here.
Yeah, and he was definitely a strong suit for me in the last game as well. He was a guy that I thought him and Encounter stood out to me in the way that they're playing. The Victor being much more impactful in this game around, but also Bryant being much more impactful in this game around as well. On the positive Makoa, I mean, being able to, demonstrate why this pick is valuable, that's huge,
Right. Just utilizing the champions to the best of their abilities, at least at the moment. The Makoa having a better impact, finding some kills, finding some hooks, making his presence felt at the moment. But the 10 streaking Victor, certainly where you have to keep your eyes on. No concerns, playing it very well, making sure that Victor is seen and felt by the rest of Eaststorm. But looking to answer back. They have the comeback mechanic here. They have the fast cap.
Oh, this could be
Eaststorm
bad.
does. Here's the rotation around the backside. Goes
barrage.
no concerns. Here comes the barrage as well. Finds some damage. Doesn't find any kills. Instead, he gets dropped on his own. Androxus, V8, able to live through it. Struck user.
Yeah.
The Whirlwind, I think, helping them heal up through some of that damage. And Eaststorm flips the flank on its head, finds some kills, and finds themselves on the point.
And this is when you have somebody who's maybe feeling himself, but this is also why you see teams play patiently. Good wall. It's going to guarantee the kill on the Bryant, who's trying to scuttle away, but it's not going to work this time around. The firebomb not deterring anyone. It struck user
I was going to
with
say, it's
that.
a good firebomb, but they just walk,
Yeah,
through
damage
it.
reduction to Nara. She
Right.
says, I don't give a crap about anything. I'm just going to walk on through, especially I still got my Grover healing me. Oh, yeah, we're good.
89% becomes 93. Potentially becoming 100 here in a moment. No concerns. Found 2 to start off this fight, so a couple Eaststorm members still having to come back and respawn. Doing so just at the moment. Some low targets here for Brian. They do clean him up, so Retaliation retake this point in a big way, and now they're just back, stuck in the room. Got to hit your shots on the Leon there. He doesn't. She's able to dance around. She finally goes down. Grover's going to be the next to fall. No concerns. Finally cleans him up on the backside. Retaliation retake successfully. See if they can zone out Eaststorm.
I feel like they should be able to. I don't know what's scaring Brian from going around that wall. Maybe just wants to get the full health. But this should be an easy zone right here. And they use an ult just to guarantee it. I don't know if that was necessary, but it's going to get the job done. Retaliation now 3-0. Want to keep the foot on the gas and keep their opportunity to tie this set up alive. And I think that's a smart play in general. I like what they're doing.
And they really flipped it on its head. I mean, although it was a little bit back and forth on Frog Isle, Eaststorm really seemed like they were comfortable. And Retaliation firing on all cylinders right now. And you have to look at no concerns on this Victor. I mean, it didn't work out for them in the last game. Working out for them in a big way in this game. He did die on his previous streak, but already back onto another 9 streak. Nice hook here from Brian. You can't underplay at all the Makoa improvement that we've seen here.
Yeah.
Cleans up the Bomb King as well. So well on their way to a potential 4-0 is Retaliation.
Yeah, and I mean, Makoa in most situations, it's going to be hard to go 0-11 because you just walk up to people, shoot, and use your abilities, and you should win that fight. But it's when you can't get to them, and that's what Frog Isle does. It really separates you. Island Shot's getting very aggressive, and I like just the style of aggressive Ash that he's playing. He's made a decision. His team knows exactly what they're going to get from them, and then they can start playing around it. Sometimes his aggressiveness is not paying off. Right now, I think it's just more clarity on who they're fighting for and who they're fighting to. Target prioritization. This could be big. He jumps up. Oh, my God. He almost knocked him off. That would have been huge. And the Poppy Bomb actually ends up sending him closer to the edge. That would have changed things for sure.
That nearly could have flipped it on its head. Instead, it's Eaststorm who have retaken their own base here. 55 seconds left. Retaliation pushed fully out, and they invested a lot into that. They have the Ancient Rage available now, but you saw the Dread Serpent. You saw the Crossfire coming out as well. The Barrage coming out just previously, so that'll be up here pretty soon as well. Assert Dominance, soon to be back on the menu for Ash. Got 35 seconds, though. You still have plenty of time here if you're Retaliation. A couple traded kills back and forth could push this one through. Island Shot's looking to be the one to get it started here. Leon keeping herself alive, but her health bar is just bouncing back and forth right now. That Damba, or the Grover, excuse me, is having to keep her alive. He's unable to do so this time. Counter falls, no concerns, finds 2. His eyes are on 3. His eyes are on the con. Are they going to be able to clean him up? And they do. It's Island Shots, though, and now Grover is the last one alive Enough zoning and enough staggering could spell a 4-0 here, but V8 looking to find the Bomb King stun, and he does just that.
Oh.
Down goes Tyra, but down goes V8 as well.
And here's the stun, but no, it doesn't work. The Earthen Guard CC immunity is going to be the thing that stalls it. It's overtime, so remember, if they step off at
nice
all,
wall.
this could be trouble. Donchi still throws up the shield. Struck user getting pressured out, but how long will it take for their healer to get back in the game? Grover is here, and there's the dash. The commander's grab is coming, but the stun from the Grumpy Bomb is enough. I think this is going to be a stabilization, Dave, and they're going to go for the ult here. They want a full commit, but counters back and swinging hard. It's just the Makoa by himself trying to push it in.
Makoa trying to stay alive, trying to push it in. He's going to go down. And East Storm, after what looked like them being on the back foot, what looked like a 4-0 here for Retaliation, cauterize their wounds in a way and find themselves point number 1 here on Jaguar Falls.
Talk about a carry. No concerns.
Wow,
21 and 4. And talk about getting a little bit more damage from your Victor. I mean, what the heck? Why was Brian ever
Doubled
on this
up.
thing? Ever.
He's doubled up everyone.
I mean, I'll put an average, somebody on that position where he was playing. I think it was the Leon, but just anyone on Leon. If you can give me a 21-4 Victor every game, just make sure you get that. That's going to, who cares? I'll take that type of excellence anytime around. Let's take a look at the items, too, because to me, it's more about how they're looking to optimize towards this late game. A couple of interesting things to call out. The Deft Hands 2 from Maldama, a little bit more consistent in this season due to the price decrease from 400 to 250. And also the Nimble, just so that Victor, no concerns, can stay alive that much easier.
Find the Wrecker as well. We
it's
didn't
bad.
see the Wrecker on Victor in the last game. Whirlwind comes out, trying to keep East Storm up and healthy right now. Here comes Seismic Crash as well. Only finds one, only finds Brian. But there's so much damage coming in. They're also grouped up right now. The Crossfire is going to come out and potentially clean up members of East Storm, and they just stacked up so well. And wow, the Victor ultimate, the Firebomb, the Crossfire. That was about as satisfying of a team fight as you could get if you're on the side of Retaliation. They're zoning for the win here.
I mean, I think it was Brian doing a great job of just threatening, because looking at Tyra's POV, I could have guaranteed that she was going to get stunned and killed in that one, but they just didn't even hit her with it, didn't even try. You could have gotten probably Brian and Tyra if you angled it to the left, but maybe she wasn't aware. I don't know what it was, but Struck User maybe not making the perfect decision there on that Seismic Crash, and it ends up being a Seismic Crash of a game here. Retaliation take the victory, and now this is all tied up.
They find themselves the win, so it's going to be our first game today. That's not a clean.
Not a clean 3-0.
Not a clean 3-0, but Retaliation looking a lot more comfortable. The Victor certainly the difference maker in that one.
Definitely. I mean, great stuff. If you get that 25-4, what it probably ended up being, put him on Victor every game.
Absolutely. Well, lots to break down here in game number 2. To do that, we're going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
I don't even know if that should count as Retaliation winning or if it should count as no concerns winning the game, because admittedly, they were there. They applied a lot of pressure for him, but that Victor did a ton of work. I can't remember. I don't know what his final slash line was, but looking at him being able to get a very large, probably around 30 kills overall with very few deaths to his name is impressive.
Because I think he grabbed 4 in that first skirmish, and then I think at least
like
2
or
in
3
the
more.
very, very final team fight. And while he is, that single target high DPS character with barrage and grenade, and the way that Bandolier can, or Grenadier rather, can just reset your cooldown like that, you can actually get an insane amount of AoE punish, right? If you're throwing out a grenade and hitting 5 people with it every single time, you're fueling your barrage, which is just so much damage, and that's one of the ways he's able to, get out in front and stay out in front. That last team fight, I believe, when he did get that quadra kill, and he went for this play earlier, but the big, just hustling around the side, getting a big flank barrage off with everyone's backs turned to him is a big, big play on console, because they just can't quite turn around fast enough to respond.
And I mean, there's so many moments right now where I feel like it literally is just him being able to get something, like no one's looking towards him. That one is a very unfortunate scenario for the con, because it's just the edge, and Drox is caught off. That should have been a pentakill, but Fly So Fatal, I'm going to put you on blast for taking that away. The man's had it.
That was crazy. I mean, if you watch, that grenade bounces off the wall right as Enlightenment is ending, kills that Leon, and the Bomb King is like backpedaling into it as well. Could not have drawn that up any better there. That was just really, really fortunate timing, I think, on the grenade. But crazy amount of damage in that team fight.
I mean, every single thing that No Concerns probably would have wanted happened during that game. Same thing for the rest of the team, feeling a lot more confident in themselves. A 4-3 to a 4-1. So they are tied up 1-1, and we're going to the long-awaited Fish Market.
The Marquette.
The Marquette, where you can buy your fish.
Where is Marquette, that college? Do you know off the top of your head?
I have a laptop in front of me.
I can Google it. And Eaststorm, very understandably, are going to go ahead and get rid of the victor. I think at this point, these guys seem to just really, really, really want to have... you have my answer for me?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
It's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Nice.
I didn't even find that myself. That was fed to me by production because I absolutely typed the wrong thing into Google and immediately closed it.
That's really bad because I'm pretty sure one of my good friends actually goes there, but I just didn't know where it was.
Get the horns.
Oh well.
I mean,
sorry, Clark.
Admittedly, it's Wisconsin. Does anyone know where it truly is?
Kneel.
Damn, dog.
Damn.
They got their fried cheese curds. My
you
favorite
should
thing to come out of Wisconsin.
because of Danny Phantom, and that was a good show.
Danny Phantom's from Wisconsin?
No, I don't think he's from Wisconsin, but there were a lot of scenes for, like, I think the one other guy that was half ghost lived in Wisconsin. And so, like,
Gotcha.
every time they did a thing between him and it was always, for some reason, in Wisconsin that they would move it.
Wow.
Or I'm insane.
What a callback.
But I'm pretty sure it was.
I mean,
at least partially. I'll have to ask Finn. She's
about it.
resident Danny Phantom expert.
Is he? That's funny. I love that theme song of that song here. Fish Market Draft starting to shape up. Little Talistrix Ash versus similar flavor to what we just saw from Eaststorm on Jaguar Falls, but this time it's picked under the banner of Retaliation. They get themselves the Concoa Grover, a nice little power mid-ranger in the Leon, and we'll see what they round out with. Kinessa is still open if they want to go that way.
The gods are watching.
But it won't be.
Our blood
So
is
Tyra
rushing,
coming through, a
and
lot
the
of pressure
hunt
between her and Talus,
is
but
on.
do you have a lineup out of these two that you're feeling a little more? Do you think the sniper is going to give Eaststorm the edge?
I think if Retaliation move around the map effectively together and find good rotations and play well off the dredge anchor, I think they can take this one.
Well, Retaliation made that last game look smooth, and they're going to have to be able to win this one on Fish Market to be able to find themselves a lead, but it is going to be Eaststorm's map pick. Let's go to Dave and Evan to walk us through it.
Thank you very much, Gore Miser. Fish Market is where we are looking. Game 3 is on the menu here. Lots of fun to look at. So one team's got the sniper, one team's got the Grok as well. Pretty high-powered lineup, actually, coming out of Eaststorm. You got the Grok, you got the Talus, you got the Strix. You got to be careful. There's some damage on that side.
Yeah, you do have to be careful. I mean, both of these squads have to find a way to take a bigger step towards dominating this set. And what I mean by that is they need to develop their identity, and this is a hard map to do it on. It's so weird to play on, especially in comparison to Jaguar Falls, that it's going to be difficult, but big headshots like that are going to open up a lot of wiggle room for you to succeed. Fly So Fatal actually finding Anjoxus as the first kill, which is a little odd since all the pressure's been put on the Leon, but she still hasn't fallen.
Her health bar's invisible. She has no...
My goodness.
Oh, she finds it back.
Luck's on her
after
side.
getting out of battle. That is a little lucky. Her health bar was invisible up there in the top right. Eaststorm answers back with some kills, answers back with some presence on the point here. Rune to Travel, not available. That equals a dead counter as well. V8 and Droxus cleaning up island shots, so a bit of a 1-for-1 to start things off here. Trying to find some damage onto the line of Retaliation. They're just getting zoned out right now, and they aren't able to really find the damage. Oh, so close. That would have been satisfying.
It really would have been. That's why I
nice
asked to be
double
really
kill.
fun here. What we're seeing, too, is just some really weird stuff where Ganchi is now playing the Strix, which is very, very odd because we've seen Counter be the one playing
that's true,
Strix.
actually, yeah.
And it just is throwing me for a loop as to why these decisions are being made. I know that sometimes you can have these processes kind of tilt based on the rhythm of a match, but right here, the rhythm is tilting towards No Concerns, who's found 3 already, Dave, looking to make it more.
He is picking up right where he left off at the end of last game on the Victor. The Enlightenment just getting juked out a little bit
Saved his
by
life.
the Talus there. No Concerns picking up right where he left off at the end of the last game, finding himself some pressure, finding himself some shots on Undulant there. Down goes the Grok, but Struck User answering back. 93% here for Retaliation, but 96 for Eaststorm. Neither team can afford not to get a touch here. And they are going to try to. The Whirlwind comes out, keeping Retaliation up and healthy. Bit of a weird roundabout
No one's
fight happening
fighting
right now.
as a team. Everyone's fighting their own 2v1s like everywhere else. Have an intention here in this fight. You guys got to get this point, whether it's stalling out, trying to get overtime, regroup, go in as 4. Who's the target prioritization? None of these questions have been answered by either team in this map, and that's why it's rough to go to Fish Market. Because it makes it even harder because the do-si-do is so natural. People do get out of sorts and locked in these positions on the far side towards the water or over here towards more of the the house area on the right or left. But again, role swaps, champion swaps, solo heal Grox, it's going to be probably take a round or two to adjust to how they want to play this perfectly.
Looks like they're just moving around the pieces, just trying to find a piece that works properly for them. And at the moment, eStorm finding the early aggression, finding the early victory here on the point. No concerns, though. Constantly a name to watch. Somebody you have to watch out for. He's actually kind of bit back around the backside of eStorm here. He gets himself out just in time because Counter was on his way on that Talus. We saw Sir James Parker, huge Talus plays earlier in the day. Unfortunately, Counter not able to find the same success, at least initially, trading back and forth other Fernando and the Con right now, and the rest of eStorm realizes this is going on, wraps around to the back, tries to get onto the Con. They don't clean him up, but they do clean up. No concerns at the moment. And it's still this roundabout fighting going on.
I mean, if I was him, I would have Tempested like a lot earlier. At this point, they've all been able to heal up, and I don't know why you're not getting aggressive. You still got another 4 seconds there. I would have gone for the back line. A ton of focus on the Makoa, who's full health. I mean, get Fly So Fatal out of this one.
Right.
And again, that's my bigger theme. Where's the target prioritization here? He's got the Ancient Rage as well. Maybe they're trying to force that. The Grok healing is all they've got, so they're going to back off. The Tempest felt lackluster and unsuccessful, and so eStorm, although in the 1-0 commanding position in the game, have not been able to break through this barrier on Fish.
Some ultimates available on the side of eStorm. Retaliation have 3 of their own.
Okay.
Make it 2 after Strix gets heaved off the map, hits the Fish on the way out. So he hits the Fish on the way out. That's a huge fish, by the way.
Huge
that is
plays.
A massive fish.
Massive fish, you're right.
What kind of fish do they have
Who
in the
caught
Paladins universe? It's dangling on like a crane over the water there. Anything smaller
crane fishing, guys.
Flies it fatal.
You do have to rent a crane and then a boat big enough to carry it across water.
Like an industrial size.
An industrial size shipping container. Shipping,
a Moana hook. What's the guy's name in Moana?
Oh, you're right, dude. Man, what is the guy's name in Moana? The Rock's character. Maui.
Maui.
Yeah,
Maui hook.
Yeah.
Maui hook.
Maui caught that fish for sure.
A Makoa hook. A Makoa hook holding a dredge anchor, holding up that fish on the side there.
Makoa is not challenged by many people. Maui may be one that could challenge the Makoa.
That's
just
true.
because of the shape-shifting nature, and the bigger hook.
That's fair. Try not to become a tattoo.
You got a bigger hook than me, brother.
We do see, though, Retaliation found themselves the defense in the meantime, and there wasn't too much of a offensive. I mean, it's hard in Fish Market. I mean, going over that hill.
That's a very difficult hill.
That is the tough hill to break here. So, I mean, it's hard to say that there wasn't really a push there from eStorm because they were, of course, trying. But again, it was sort of.
But the point fight was just as jumbled as well.
There's just a jumbled kind of push there towards the end. They do have essentially 5 ultimates available for this point fight, so hoping to find the same success the first time.
I don't know. Interesting. He immediately sees them on the left, and then decides to drop down. So, as Ash, I probably would have taken that fight, knowing that the Con did just use the overpower, so I wasn't really worried about that. She gets 24% on the objective, but then dies because she splits off. They don't have any frontline to peel with the shield as well. The Tempest comes out late after 2 members have died, and Ganji still drops down. Somehow, Brian, with Ancient Rage, has not pushed this, and now is pushing this, and is going to find himself a kill. Sees the Strix. This should be pretty easy. It's hard to miss that kill is available to you, and now probably getting out is the best decision, and he's going to do it.
Getting focused, getting himself out, but down goes the banner from V8, stuns up Grover. Grover's going to find himself out. Actually, a nice hook. Pulls V8 out of his zone there, so the immortality, the immunity rather, not lasting very long there for V8, getting hooked out by Brian, who's actually been doing pretty well on this Makoa. He had a good game last game, having a great game again this game, finding the pressure that he needs. Immortal's available here if he gets too low, potentially wanting to use it. I mean, he does use it as a result, but the Enlightenment was going to come out and potentially drop him there, so not a bad Immortal by any means, but he is going low here, and he is going to fall. Flash of Fatal cleaning up that one.
This is one of the worst Fish Market games I've ever seen in Paladins. I'm not going to lie. And it's because they don't understand what they're doing on this map. It's a hard map to play on, so I don't blame anyone, but I do blame the choice to take it and then have absolutely no idea how you're doing it. Fighting, in the open there from Eaststorm at this point as well. You have to take these angles. You have to play around the cubbies. You can't expose yourself. Fish Market is just a death bowl. If you treat it that way, you're just going to die and die and die. You've got to take high ground. You've got to go into their back line. You've got to play around these cubbies and poke and prod until you have a chance to go out there. You see the Fernando just marching towards the point with an Immortal, knowing he just wants to stand in the middle of the map. An Immortal, to what cause? To what avail? To get the kill is really the most important thing. And we're seeing just maybe a lack of experience on this map. It's an older one too, for sure. So we are going to see more of our veteran players figure that out. But it's rough to watch, for sure. I hope that this adjusts for either team here.
Well, in one way it has adjusted, and that Retaliation is now on the front foot with Eaststorm trying to defend, and they have actually already crested that hill, something that we were not able to see Eaststorm do towards the end of the last game. Trading back and forth shots are the Strix and the Leon. Here comes the Enlightenment again. Does find some damage onto the Grok, but she might actually drop for her troubles, and she does. There's not really much backup here from Retaliation. They were all back behind the hill while the Leon was fighting her own battle up on top of the hill there, and Eaststorm flips it right on its head.
Out of sync for sure, but they did a great job getting there, and probably the most cohesive moment in this match. And that's a good sign for Retaliation moving forward. They've got the point. They were able to get over the hill. They kept the momentum. It's a momentum-based map. So really that point doesn't matter. 99 doesn't win you the point. You got to get 100. So fight whatever you need to do to get the team wipe. That's what it's all about on this map. And Envy, they showed us this so brilliantly. The way that they drafted in the World Championship to win the World Championship on this map, it is about the do-si-do. It's about the team wipe.
Right.
And then you can move into the point, because you got to get the momentum. You could take 4 DPS champions on this map and actually still win without a tank. But you need to get kills, and that's what I'm seeing be the disconnect here for this.
If you want a crash course in playing on Fish Market, just watch Envy, Navi in the World Championships of last year, and that's a clean 4-0 tutorial there for you.
And also, Renegades had a very funky but very successful, even last year, play on Fish Market. That they were the 4 DPS that I talked about. It was actually really cool to see, but it was very, very successful too.
Fighting a little bit more cohesively here was Eaststorm on this defense, finding some success there as well. So both teams find a point. Both teams find a defense to answer as well.
And Dave, think about it like this. I mean, Fish Market is a thick map. It's a very complicated map, okay? And not thick, T-H-I-C-C. I mean thick as in it's dense. To do the right thing, you have to navigate a labyrinth. So imagine a very thick wall. If you have to get through it, you can't go by little chops. You need one huge chop that's going to create that distance. That's what you need to do. And go through that wood. You need something here that's going to be a clear, concise effort. And that's what I'm hoping that they adjust here, knowing that they need to move swiftly, move accurately, and move poignantly. And that should help them to win this fight for real.
That's actually a very good point. I know Nick made a similar point on the desk. On the side of Retaliation, when Grover is your healer, you kind of have to move as a team, but you need to be moving in a way that makes sense. And I think that's essentially what you were trying to say there. Is like, when you're moving, you got to move with a purpose. You got to go somewhere that makes sense. And doing so, at least initially, taking a bit of a different route than we've seen is Retaliation. The Whirlwind comes out to top off the health bars. Some are going down, though. Eaststorm actually waits it out, flips it on its head, counter finds one. Fernando as well, finding some damage.
And sorry to cut you off, but Brian did exactly what I was saying. Just, it doesn't work. He literally went to low ground. You got to take high ground first. He was isolated from his team, got 30% on the point, but who cares? That's not the point. You got to make sure that you... Now, this is actually great. Androxus is going to be isolated here. That ultimate looked good. But if they stay high ground here, no need to get to... Just make sure you finish off this Fernando. Now with the shield, you've got him both ways. You could start to zone. This is where a huge zone potential is possible. If you can get counter dismounted, that's great. The Rune of Travel, though, is going to give him some time to buy, and it's a mishooked as well, and that is the one thing you did not want to happen.
Right. Gets himself healed up on the backside of his Rune of Travel. The Makoa down on this retake attempt is not going to be ideal here for Retaliation. He is back up, but instead counter drops as well. The Tempest comes out, doing some damage, doing some healing all across the board here. Kana's going to be the next to fall. Ganchi finds 2 on the Strix. Remember, he was interesting playing the Strix here for this time, but he does find it. Now a good zone on the side of Eaststorm would equal a point capture for them.
That's very true, and it does look like they will do that. And this is, again, where you saw Brian make, that earlier mistake that shifted things towards Eaststorm having the early aggression. Oftentimes, these things will teeter-totter, and it went back to Eaststorm, went back to Retaliation, and finally went right back to Eaststorm to finish off the point fight. And so now they have a chance to push and win. They don't have as much momentum as Retaliation did last round, but a couple of shots from Ganchi could make the difference here. No Concerns almost cleans him up, but he's going to make it out alive for now and hit the stealth.
Retaliation wrapping around the back side here, actually getting back to the payload. Unfortunately, the Ashe dropping early on. Her ult was down, so wouldn't have made a huge difference in this fight. A couple early kills, make it 3 from Retaliation. Start off this defense on the right foot. I'll ask you this. I mean, we saw Eaststorm stall out exactly here last time, and this is maybe the point you were trying to make. So is the way to push through this, like you said, I mean, you look for a team fight where you're able just to find a clean wipe and then you push it through? I mean, is that
absolutely,
is that really the way to win on this map?
Well, when they're playing with the sniper, right, you know that you've got either somebody who can close out a kill, so you need to get them low with counter, or you've got someone who can create pressure. When you create that pressure, they will back off. If you get Tyra to half health, she's going to start backing up. Same thing with Makoa. Once you do that, then you can send your Talus in afterwards, or your Ashe in afterwards to displace them, to knock the Fernando, just to be constant pressure who's not going to die easily, or Tempest. Those are the things that they need to be looking for. Right now, what they're doing is they just lost someone, but now they're as 4, not dropping back. At this point, you need to cut your losses, drop back, and know that they've started to poke you. So there's this, the reason these fights aren't going anywhere is because we're getting these full wipes when it really should just be a reset call. They should say, we lost him, let's back off and try to get pressure back. It's all about keeping the pressure, but you first have to build it. And if you get too impatient trying to build it too fast, you will lose your entire team.
And lost their entire team, they did. Eaststorm on the backside, back foot right now for the moment. They do have 5 ultimates to play with. Retaliation does the same. Undulant starting things off, so that's the healer that's now down. Overpower's going to answer back onto the Ashe.
What?
You unhappy with the overpower?
Absolutely.
I guess, yeah, with 10 seconds left.
You got 10 seconds left. You're about to go into a 3-3 for all intents and purposes. I mean, I guess they're trying to make sure that doesn't happen, but now if it does, I mean, you're screwed for next round. That was risky.
That's true. It is charging up. He'll get about a quarter of the way there before dropping. Overtime ticking away. You got to hope for his sake that this one doesn't somehow find its way through. It doesn't look like it's going to.
Oh, it will.
They're going to defend themselves successfully. So Eaststorm have 5. Retaliation down to 4 here for this final team fight. Provided it goes on long enough, the overpower will come back. But that is the big if right now.
That's the big thing you want to start your team fight off with. And this is exactly what happened with Retaliation. This was the point fight that Eaststorm won, where Retaliation did not have the Khan ult to start off. We said, well, it's weird that they went down. The Ashe kind of gave up that high ground, even though the Khan ult wasn't available. So really interesting decision. Island Shot's been having a good game, 12-7. No concerns, 12-8. Fly so fast. I mean, these guys are playing well KDA-wise, but the problem is that's a lot happening during the push and the defense.
Right, absolutely. Outside of Eaststorm, though, Slashline's not looking as clean, but certainly have found themselves some success on this map as well. Undulant has found himself some good kills. V8 having a bit of a tough game. I know that maybe would have expected him on the Strix.
No, they had a trade problem, I'm just finding out. They were unable to trade their champions, which is why they are playing. Well, that's just a mistake you can't count on.
Yeah, that's
so that's what's going on here. Okay.
Well, there you go. Today I learned. And that is why
Thank you, Blue.
V8 is on the Ashe and Ganchi is on the Strix instead. But on the back foot here for the moment, Retaliation not worried about the lack of overpower, finding themselves some picks, turning that into a bit of offensive pressure. Island shots, drop Strix on the backside, and ultimates essentially have been used now in Retaliation. Some good kills, some good staggering of these kills here will result in a 4-3 win.
And, at this point, I feel like they have a lot of confidence here, and maybe I think, although we may have felt that this was odd, it feels like Retaliation have maybe known it all along, playing with that confidence. V8 Androxus, he's going to come on down, but we know he's not playing the champion of choice. Things seem so much clearer at this point, but it's not all over. It's still 3-3, and it's got to get to 100 here.
Another great hook there from Brian. Pulls Ash out of her zone. Overtime ticking away, getting reset right now, but a double kill from Brian surely spells the end here for eStorm. And it does. In Retaliation, 1 win away here from their first victory.
Yeah, I mean, those teams need to never go to Fish Market again until they figure out what they want to do on it. And I'm serious. Don't pick a map where you care about winning the set if you don't know how to perform or what you want to do on that map. Champion drafting, switching aside, it clearly lacked directive, and that's what you need. If you go to these fringe maps, Ice Mines, have a plan. You know, Timber Mill, have a plan. Fish Market, have a plan. That was missing. Retaliation, though, good wading through the chaos to eventually find the win.
They do find themselves the win. They find themselves 1 win away from grabbing the win here today. But to break it down, let's send it back to the desk.
Through the chaos. I think that's a really good way to describe that. It was very much kind of like, okay, you're finding your way there, but is it always the same path? No. Is it always the same results? No. But Retaliation walk away, now leading the set 2-1, so they can at least walk away with that, and they don't have to go back to Fish Market.
Right. Some of these fights definitely feel like they're a little bit less like planned, and just wanting to survive off pure instinct alone. A lot of that is Fish Market is a fringe map, and the strategy can be kind of intricate on this place, and a lot of it has to do with what type of composition you draft, right? If you draft like, I think honestly, Frozen Guard is probably the easiest map to highlight it on. You can draft shorter range compositions on longer range styles of map. You just have to sort of adjust how you want to play that, how you want to approach that. I don't know if these teams have exactly reached that level of intricacy yet. Seems like whoever drafts more hit scan rifles wins the game, at least from a surface level point of view.
Well, the slash lines looked really good for Retaliation throughout that entire set. I'm honestly looking towards how, this next game goes. I heard Evan say that eStorm had a little bit of trouble swapping, so they ended up with a frontline playing their sniper and a sniper playing their frontline. So whether or not that will change things going into the next map will make a big difference. But, there's still a lot of possibilities for them. Do you think eStorm has what it takes to pull this back? Are we going to go to Game 5, or do you think Retaliation close it out here?
I think you got to try and get it to a map you're a little bit more comfortable on, and hopefully Stonekeep will be that for them. Stonekeep is a map very often picked in the console scene that I'm starting to notice, so I don't know if this is that volatile of a map, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be too out of the norm, and clearly out of the norm isn't working in eStorm's favor either, so Retaliation's still able to take that win on Fish Market. At this point, you're just hoping to get something going on a map you're probably comfortable with, so take Randay's advice. Have a plan going into this one. The whole theme, I think, of today, of what we've been preaching after what we saw in the Premier League, was preparation is the key. You don't even need to have, you can have a substitute player, but being prepared and having that plan in place before you go into it and being well studied before a matchup can get you that win, right? Instinct will very rarely and should only be relied on when you absolutely have to.
And we have an example of that in the console league. If you look at Flashpoint, that one time Legacy had to play when they didn't have another player to fill the shoes. He came in, and he was a absolute force to be reckoned with. That's the best phrase to use it. Because what was he doing in that game? He was just insane to have to try and take down. And so you have that kind of capability. They came in with a plan. It didn't matter that they had a sub with them at all.
Right.
But eStorm here, I like it. They grab the Victor. They get the Makoa. They get the Tyra. If you're looking for hit scan rifles, they've got it.
They've got more. So eStorm are going to win this game. They're going to bring it back and force a Game 5.
Just can't stay away from me.
Calling it right now. That's who I want to win. That's who I think's going to win.
You think's
going
to win?
More
they
hit
have the more
rifles.
hit scan rifles? Well, Grok, it's not a rifle.
They got
but
Genos.
It's technically hit scan.
They got
so there's
Genos.
Now 3-on-2. Who are you feeling now?
Oh, man. I don't know. If they go Binary Star, then Retaliation, dude.
Well, you heard it here. Is it going to be the Binary Star Genos and the Healing Grok, or vice versa? Will Victor and Tyra Makoa all be able to take this ahead? It's up to eStorm to try and tie it up, or else they are going to get knocked out here by Retaliation. Let's go back to Dave and Evan to take us through Stone Keep.
Thank you very much, Gore. And into Stone Keep we go. Potentially
into
our
the
last
woods.
Map of the day. Be surprising. Although it would be our first non-3-0 of the day.
It already
for
is.
Our last map of the day. Brian going on to the con this time, so sticking with that sort of off tanky. So Binary Star is the way Genos goes here.
Yeah.
And Nick, that was his contingency. He said if it's Binary Star,
then Retaliation
wins.
Well, it's hard, you know, they already have the momentum in this set now, and, you know, they're now on the right champions, I would assume, and Ganchi is playing the front line again. And not the Strix.
I mean, he looked okay.
Pretty
I mean,
incredible for them to, I mean, given the fact that they did have those issues, to still be able to win, that's pretty impressive.
Right. It is impressive. Equally impressive is the early 36% jump here for Retaliation, and no kills yet. Two teams just basically smashing heads, and nobody coming out on
Smashing
top
pumpkins.
Yeah, the healing doing a good job. Finally, Undulin is the one to clean it up with some help from Counter on the Victor. The double hit scan, that was something they talked about on the desk as well. No more hit scan rifles to be played in this one. East Storm grabbing the two. I believe Vivian was banned out as well. So off to a good start here is Retaliation despite the high offensive pressure. That's an early crossfire getting charged up here. Barrage is up and available as well. And yeah, 1 and 2, Tyra, Victor certainly making their presence felt early.
Good firebomb to just make sure no one is hit by it, and then able to throw the Hunter's Mark there. Finish off that kill from no concerns. And knows exactly where the con is. Going to get the reset due to the eliminations, and that's one of the benefits of Tyra and loadout that she's drafted right here.
First round of ultimates starting to get popped here. Unfortunately, the health bars are going in the favor of E-Storm right now. Just too much offensive pressure to deal with. Ganchi cleans up island shots. Doing a good job there, and Tyra just holding down the low ground. 1v3 at the moment. Here comes the Fernando back for a little bit of support. 87% on the point right now. Retaliation needs to jump down there and get a touch if they want to contest. Flying through goes island shot. Gets the touch. Unfortunately, trades out.
Good shot.
The life of the Ash. Retaliation on the back foot right now. And looking like E-Storm's going to take it. Brian Verse doing his best to stay alive. And overtime ticking away, and Retaliation, or excuse me, E-Storm will be the first ones on the board here, finding themselves the early point capture.
I don't blame you. It's kind of hard to figure that out. There was a lot going on.
There was.
A lot going on. And the Ancient Rage is available. I mean, why not? Put your foot on the gas here. Said that a lot today, but it's been relevant.
Go!
I mean, go! Go!
Please!
Go! Ancient Rage right into that hole, just,
Trying to
That
find
looks
the
yummy
angle.
Ancient Rage territory right there.
Oh, wow.
Just
That's
three
like
people in a
Christmas
box.
morning.
Come
So many
on, baby.
presents. Just open up. It's open season there for him. Unfortunately, for our sake, not going to go for it. Nearly dropping to the firebomb. And actually, the damage does pay off in the end there for E-Storm. The Ash island shots staying a little too long in the fire and does drop on the backside. Counter doing some damage up here on the top side as well. Down goes Leon, dashes into the fire.
Why give up high ground there? I don't understand.
Yeah, that was interesting dash. Here comes the Barrage, trying to clean up some damage. None of the rockets coming out just yet. Cooldown getting reset to 40 here. Taking himself out of it, getting him back to his primary weapon. The payload's just going to roll on through, it looks like. And it is.
Man. Oh, wow. They're not even going to go to the low ground. Wow. Okay.
I mean, kills came out after the payload went through.
Yeah. Wow.
But it just kind of rolled on in there.
I don't have much analysis for that.
No, it was nobody contested it. So E-Storm find themselves up 2-0. Counter, though, kind of the storyline to watch. Making his presence felt. V8, despite having 1, 2, and 7 slash line. It's the assist. You know, the supports in any game will say, yeah, 1 and 2 kind of looks gross, but you got to look at the number afterwards. You have a 4 KDA right now.
Yeah.
Despite being 1, 2, and 7. You know, you say 1 and 2, but you can't forget the assists.
You can't
the
forget
7.
it, especially if you're going DPS. You know, that's where they need the ego boost to say, you know, it's not you're not underperforming here. And also the Hunter's Mark is such a key part of this style of play.
Yeah, definitely.
That, you know, you have to give credit where credit is due. Augmenting a ton of damage. Good stun there as well. That's going to end up being the guaranteed kill. Machi goes
the
down.
Ancient Rage.
And no concerns will fall shortly after, though.
We were looking for it. The end of the last game comes out early on in this game, and it's much to the effect of E-Storm taking over the point here. A couple kills there from Counter. Gonna clean up some of the back-footed members now of Retaliation. Ash, the last one standing. Some shots coming in from the Americon, nearly dropping 100 health. A hair's width away from death there as Counter is gonna get himself healed, but E-Storm find themselves back on the point now, 36% in climbing, and they are zoning out very well here.
Ooh, and good shots for sure. Ganchi getting lifted up. And really locked in right there. Good stuff from him. No concerns. Definitely getting the job done here. So 51% now for Eaststorm, but they've just lost their Makoa. No Ancient Rage on the table either. Ganchi drops the shield, and that's all he's got. And so this could be a dead Fernando. Grover has to get over there if he's going to do something about it. That healing won't quite reach, and Fly So Fatal, he falls first.
He pops the Immortal to keep himself alive. Now 2 now on the side of Eaststorm. Brian answers back, so counter drops, so that's the Victor down. That's not ideal on the side of Eaststorm. Going low as well as Androxus, so there's their damage dealers. Now it's up to the tanks and the healers to try to keep this one alive, at least at the moment. They can die, they can reset. Retaliation, though, with that fast cap, if a good enough zone would result in their first points here.
Yeah, let's see how they zone. Usually you'd want to see the Ashe get a little bit forward, maybe go left side just to be able to, because she's got the health and she can get healing, and you can keep that healer on that objective, but it works either way. They've got the fast cap. They don't even need to get out there in zone too far. And there's the assert dominance. I like hitting the gas pedal there. Let's see what you can do with it.
Trying to keep himself alive, doing just that, but the Whirlwind's going to top off the health bars on the side of Eaststorm. You hear Crossfire ratting away in the background right now to the effect of some low health bars on the side of Retaliation. Fly So Fatal, the binary star Genos is going to fall initially. V8 struck user and counter all adding one for themselves right now, and there's just kill feeds lighting up blue. Retaliation not able to find any respite there. Eaststorm starting off the defense very well.
Oh, good dismounts as well. Forces the Ghost Walk. This is going to buy some extra time. Struck user shows up nicely to apply pressure, but no concerns. He's been hitting his shots. One of the things that he's got to be considering is that, you know, counter right now is under pressure from the backside. The Khan's going to almost finish him off. A commander's grab just to create the distance. A nice Blossom is going to keep him alive, but not long enough, and he will fall. Milka Cat getting credit for the kill.
Milka Cat, I can't get over that name.
Based on history.
What is the origin? That's like somebody saying, who's the first person to figure out how to milk a cow?
Milk a cow. Who's the first person who thought it made even sense to try to figure out to milk a cat? But I mean, it makes sense, I guess, with the little babies. You know, how do they get fed? You know, kittens.
That's true.
Probably,
I mean, technically that counts.
But
right?
like, man, I don't know.
Maybe our minds are the bad ones. It's not specifying like human.
I mean, maybe we're weird, thinking that meat shows up in grocery stores. Like, that's not, what the heck? Are we the crazy ones?
That's the Impossible Burger.
There you go.
That was the, it actually wasn't an April Fool's. They announced the Impossible Whopper.
Oh, wow.
Burger King did. 100% vegetarian burgers, which apparently is indiscernible from beef.
Oh,
I've never tried one, but apparently it is.
It might actually make me go to Burger King today. I don't know. It sounds good now the more that you mention it.
I probably won't.
I probably won't either.
Finding some kills, though, is Retaliation. Trying to get this one pushed through. Eaststorm certainly on the back foot. Victor's going to find himself some healing, but the zone, the heavy zone now coming out here from Island Shots. Looking for the knockoff is Evan. Getting lifted up now. 10 seconds left. Just need to get pushed through here. Health bar's not in the favor of Retaliation. Down goes the Ashe. Down goes the Leon almost. She keeps herself alive, actually. The Tempest, the Whirlwind, all coming out. Everything's getting popped right now, and Eaststorm are the ones who are finding the kills.
And they're going to defend.
Woo.
3-1. Now Eaststorm have a chance to tie this ball game up. That grenade was either really lucky or really nice. The double kill there from counter.
It was really nice.
It was really nice.
No way. That was pure
skill. Off the stairs over the shield on purpose.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's casual.
Casual stuff there for counter.
98,000 damage is what he has. Ashe, the top damage dealer now on the side of Retaliation. Not necessarily unheard of, but not typically what you would look for. Maybe looking for a little bit more damage out of No Concerns. He's certainly been a driving force in the rest of these games for Retaliation. He's been on the Victor, been on a few different of the damage dealy champions, finding himself some great kills, some great pressure early through time and space. Looked like it. I guess it hit the Makoa, did some damage, but unable to clean up some kills. Here comes the barrage, finding 2 shots out of it. 3, finding some damage. Good job here from counter to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been controlling this upper balcony. No Concerns goes to kind of contest and then gets the battle shot healing, which is really good. So they're going to force him off the high ground. Now if counter steps out, He's going to be in trouble, and No Concerns knows this is the opportunity. Another slide will clean it up. Big shots from the Presence, forcing the Ancient Rage from Makoa, and now he's trying to go back in. Make sure this Leon cannot escape his rage, but she does, and he falls, and Milka Cat comes out on top again.
Milka Cat is the one to clean it up. Just so close there on the Ancient Rage range.
Yes.
Unable to find the Leon. Say that one 5 times fast. I certainly could not. Crossfire comes out from the Tyra, trying to find some damage. Milka Cat goes down, but so does V8 on that Tyra as well. Double kill here for Brian, so continuing to find a presence here, making a triple, looking for 4. Is it going to be 4? Probably not. He has to back himself off, gives himself the shout, gives himself some healing, some immunity.
Good knockup.
And instead, just the rest of Retaliation. Here comes the banner. That's a deep banner here from the Ash, finding the immunity, finding the damage. And now E-Storm find themselves so far on the back foot. Retaliation find themselves their second point. Try to push this one through.
She's just got to go towards the left side because that's where she can actually threaten with a knockoff, and it's going to force them to be very predictable. But she's going to just maybe rotate, maybe take high ground and go. That's a good decision too. Island shots, well done there. I mean, I thought it was a little greedy to go for that kill just on the assert dominance. He probably could have done it with his shield, just one more shot, but he gets the stun on Tyra too, which it delays their team so heavily now that both damage dealers are dead.
Both damage dealers are dead, but
nice
start
try.
off this one for one. Here's the barrage. Oh, and down goes Island. So well-timed barrage there from Counter. Nice grenade there, finding the damage, looking for 3, finds 2 of them. And that was a bit of a Christmas Day moment there for him. Tons of stacked up targets. Perfectly lined up for the grenade to come through. So for the moment, E-Storm find themselves some space, find Retaliation all backed off. Got about a minute left. Call it 50% of the way to go here for Retaliation, and they are certainly on the back foot. E-Storm finding the pressure, finding the presence. Retaliation need to find a way to break out.
Yeah, and there's a good battle shout. Where's the damage coming from? Respotting out. Commander's grab just to, use a little bit of space. It's really important that you don't use those movement skills just haphazardly. Now you've got 5 seconds where you cannot use it. You could have just walked there and done the same thing right now. Luckily, no one pressures him during that moment of potential weakness. And Counter actually gets on top of No Concerns, and that's a beautiful angle to be able to take this fight from. He's now able to hip fire, run away, still got the healing from Grover, but he's getting pressured out by Island Shots, who could have huge control here. Big impact coming. Can he get the knockoff?
Oh, he does.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. And now this thing could get tied up real fast.
You were looking for it, and you got it. Down goes E-Storm, 3 of their members down. Counter's going to be the next one to fall, and he does just that. Now Ash is looking to keep Grover up there on the high ground, trying to keep him from getting a touch in there. The first point went in without a touch, potentially another one here. Down goes the banner, the Whirlwind comes out as a response, and another great hook gets her out of her immortality there, her immunity, excuse me. Struck user, some great Mahoa hooks we've seen today, Makoa hooks we've seen pulling Ash out of her zone.
Never heard that one, Dave.
Mahoa hooks.
Mahoa. That's a good one, though.
I talk so fast. Mahoa
You're
cooks.
a real Mahoa, man.
Mahoa cooks is where I was going with that one.
That was a good one, I gotta say.
I meant to do it. April Fools.
I meant to do it. April Fools is not Mahoa, it's Makoa. Mahoa's Makoa's cousin, you know?
Don't say that about her. She's a nice turtle.
Oh, man.
E-Storm.
She's a nice turtle. You're living a good life, man.
She finds herself. No, not she. They find herself. E-Storm finds. I'm run through a loop now. I gotta just reset.
That's funny.
E-Storm find themselves the defense. Unfortunately, you can't win on defense. You can only win on the point capture.
Right.
They got some ultimates to play with. Retaliation does the same. 50% there on their final ultimates.
Counter.
75% on theirs. Counter though, yeah. 26 and 13.
Big time. Big time game.
That's kind of been the storyline of this set in a way. Is the huge victor. The huge victor scorelines.
Yeah.
Neither team able to find an answer for it.
The console victor pop-offs, dude, with the I forget what this Victor skin is called. It's like the VK4852 something.
Oh yeah, like the robotic.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's a very good skin. V8 Androxus got caught, had his keyboard sipping maybe a real-life V8 there, and took his hands off and died immediately, stepping into some trouble. Retaliation now poised, confident, and excited to help try to keep the zone alive. And that's good damage on counter. It'll definitely push them back for now, but they've given up the real easy avenue for Makoa and Droxus just to walk right up Broad Street.
Walks right down the center, finds himself a kill. Struck user finding one as well. No concerns, answers back onto V8, so finding the target that he needed to find. eStorm in the meantime, though, they're just chilling on the point. Here comes the Enlightenment. Counter's going to get taken down anyway. Now no concerns is as well, and up goes the Grover, delivering him on a silver platter to the rest of his team. Keep himself alive. He's certainly going to follow anyway, and he does. Bit delayed, so maybe, you know, calculated he meant to do it here. Double kill coming out from Fly So Fatal on the Genos. That binary star doing tons of damage. Maybe a triple here onto V8. Is he going to clean it up? A little do-si-do around the pillar. He finds the third, and now they're well on their way. Teams bouncing back and forth right now. Nobody wants the upper hand almost.
What is
Struck
happening?
user is the one who is going to end up on the point here and potentially rounding things off, but the rest of Retaliation is here now, and they're on the point.
Beautiful plays here, and the Makoa really changes the dynamic there. Through time and space misses. Fly So Fatal may have wanted to wait just a second longer. I think he just realized panic mode was initiated for the squad. Makoa finally goes down, but not before he helps to potentially turn the tide of this entire fight. The Tempest is here, but Cauterize is here as well. But the double kill from Milka Cat. Island Shots is going to find a double as well. And Retaliation, they're going to retaliate. It's 3-3, and they can push this one in for a win.
For a win, for the win, for all of the prizes here on April Fool's Day. Retaliation is pushing forward. Unfortunately, eStorm's going to have to defend and capture one again on the back end.
Yep.
So on the front foot for the moment is Retaliation. Both teams utilizing most of their ultimates. You have the Whirlwind, you have the Crossfire available on the side of eStorm. Quick charging ultimates as well on the side of Retaliation, but that's an early Whirlwind here, so 2 minutes left. The Whirlwind comes out, keeps eStorm nice and topped off, helps Counter find a kill here. Down goes the Ash Banner, finds Counter up top. He's going to be able to clean him up though, and he is. Great job there. Island Shots finds two.
Stay here, man.
The Ash starting to come alive. Evan wants him to keep the high ground,
Stay
but
here.
now
What
on
are
the
you
back
doing?
foot. Down he goes, though. Finding the angle. Back goes the Makoa. Up goes the Makoa, excuse me. Not the Mahoa. Makoa is getting grabbed up into the air. That's the Tempest. The second Tempest essentially of one long team fight here. They have not stopped fighting since it went down.
God.
Retaliation finding some kills, but back as well do
Stay
eStorm.
high,
Undulant,
man.
V8, and
nice.
Droxus adding one. Island Shots nearly going down, but stays alive behind his shield.
What is happening? And Droxus, is he going to clean this one up? Is this going to actually be eStorm stabilizing here? It looks like it will. You know, the reason I'm yelling at the Ash, and Island Shot's doing a great job. I like the aggressiveness. Ash can be aggressive from a distance.
Right.
High ground is the most important thing here. That means you can look at you can't look at the payload and at the person shooting you. That creates stress. That creates an unsolvable equation, so to speak.
Right.
And if you can do that, you apply such an immense amount of pressure onto eStorm to defend there, and they probably don't. But if you drop down, they can do two things with, you know, kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. They just shoot the payload, and they shoot you. And that's where I think if he just pays attention to Ash, that range, uses that range as much as possible on that flat cannon, he's going to be able to help his team a lot more here from this high ground.
Here comes the Crossfire. Kana's going to be the target.
Bit of a
Change that
hopeful.
onto the Grok. Grok's going to keep himself alive through it. Down he goes on the back end, but no concerns. Cleans up Counter as well.
Okay.
Off the map goes. Who was that? That was Fernando. So many kills happening at once. Couldn't quite see who the target was. Brian, though, cleaning it up, and now Retaliation on the front foot. Here comes the Barrage as well.
Very
Ash
good.
up in the high ground, finding him. Up goes Counter. Down goes Counter. And Retaliation well on their way to a win here. Fernando's the last line of defense, but he's not going to last very long. Make it a Grover. Make it a win potentially here for Retaliation.
And the Ancient Rage just as the last effort of resistance, but Retaliation will clean up the game. They'll clean up the set. Woo. That was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a fun stone keep. Retaliation finding their first win here in the Paladins Console League with a great bit of a slobber knocker, sort of a
good.
set there against eStorm. But to break it down and break down the day, let's send it back to the guys on the desk.
Well, Retaliation find their first win. So they're able to put themselves up on the list and kind of move up in the world. And again, a new roster looking like it's going to yield new results.
Maybe.
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 Yeah, I know
dude.
you had your opinion. There was one play, and I love this when this happens because I feel like it happens with you and Evan the most, but there's always like one play that gets you guys like out of your chair. Yelling at the
What do you
screen.
mean?
And it's
Yeah, for me
fun.
it was on the zone. I think in the second round it was a Khan with overpower, standing up on the stairs, waiting. There was a Victor and a Grover kind of coming around the corner a little bit, and then you hear Tyra ult, and Tyra just kind of comes in, crossfiring by herself, and he doesn't do anything about it, and he holds it way up until this point where he overpowered somebody, it's not important, and then brought it. There was nobody around to bring it to because the fight was basically over at that point. And then I'm pretty sure Genos got in the line of sight and just void gripped the target that was overpowered instead of shooting it. I'm just like, what is happening right now? What is this team fight?
Well, it does still end up resulting in them getting the point. So
Yeah.
eStorm needing to crack down a little bit harder, I think, to continue their route. As you said earlier, you need to break away from being in that fourth place area. Like, I mean, if you're looking at fourth place teams right now, there's a certain point where if you've spent too much time down there, you're mathematically not able to get to any sort of land. But we have the standings as they come through in a Xbox Elevate still at the top. Surprise, surprise, actually being able to beat out, I think, Flashpoint score. Even though they're both 4-0, they have the 12
That's right.
games instead of the 11. And as you can see, they're both tied at the bottom, -5 and -5, 1-3, 1-3 for eStorm and Retaliation. So that win being a good stepping stone.
The war
but you still
continues.
have to be able to go forward. I actually think Retaliation next week are going to be going up against Elevate. So there is where you have to test your mettle.
Yeah, new roster. We'll see how they can compete there, and wish them the best of luck.
That's, I think, a lot of teams when they end up going up against Elevate is testing your luck. But here is everything in Europe, all of the standings. You can see 4-0 teams still dominating the top, 11-11 for Cyclone and Flashpoint. And unfortunately, both leagues still having an unwinning team in Viral and Stush, still looking for their first win. Same thing can kind of go for North America. 4-0 teams at the top, but Low-Key Scheming's the only team in NA who has yet to find a win. They're still looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward to Heating Up and Invictus, which I believe, again, is
Ooh, is
another
that next
matchup
week?
that is going to be next
Oh,
week.
Pog. That's
So
gonna be
a
a good
lot
one.
of really good set determining and potentially land determining kind of sets that could be coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything...
I mean, Invictus and Heating Up, I think that's the closest a 1 and a 2 have ever been in a console division in the history of the console league. So that is a really, really fun matchup to watch for sure. And that's one of the few times you're kind of like holding your breath to see who's going to qualify for LAN, because like in times past, you kind of knew who was the guys that had been there before. They start to just stomp everyone out again. You're like, well, all right, I guess we'll wait for LAN to watch the good games.
Well, we actually do have the schedule to be able to look forward to of what we're going to see next week. And as you can see, Flashpoint going to be playing offline, iTech and Stush going on here, Radiant and Bust Down going to be played. We'll have Invictus and Heating Up offline, Low-Key Scheming and Has-Beens are going to duke it out, and we'll look at Low-Key Esports and eStorm to close out the day. The big matchups again. I'm looking
Heating
at
Up and Invictus are
Heating Up.
played offline, dude. Feels bad.
That's going to be a good one, though. So if you
I'm
can
going to go
watch it-
ask Cooper nicely if we can
Go
watch
ask
that
Cooper
one
if we
on
can watch that one.
broadcast.
Even just watch it too. I might just watch it after the day's done anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be such a good one, though, man. I definitely hope we get to see something from that. Maybe highlights, I don't know.
Well, hey, remember that tomorrow is going to be the minor league starting at 11 a.m., similar to how we started today. And of course, High Res Expo tickets are going to be on sale now, so go ahead and jump on that. Trust me, it is an event you do not want to miss. You can see all of your favorite Paladins teams, all of your favorite maybe talent pieces who happen to be there as well. We'll be hanging out, watching the games, and having a good time. But until we get there, I guess, we're going to go through all our broadcasts. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Until then, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries, Respawn.
Show the